Hello and welcome to another episode. I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander. So, we've got some interesting changes here, sort of. If you've watched the last few episodes, you saw that I was very unhappy with the fisheye lens camera that I had going because my other camera just stopped working with the laptop for some reason. So, I got this, a new camera. However, it's always one step forward, two steps back. So it's not fisheye, which is great. I like the clarity. It looks like it's picking up good detail. However, the audio sucks. So if I stand back where I normally do as I play, you can barely hear me. So I have to like lean forward and try and get close to the mic. So I might be, well, not a might. I will be fluctuating in volume throughout this. Hopefully not too drastically. I apologize if I do. I have plans for one more major upgrade, but in order to do that, it's going to be next year, like maybe February or so, before I can really afford that. I got to make sure my job's okay and all that kind of stuff. This is kind of how it's going to be for a while. I'm going to try and maybe stockpile a bunch of episodes throughout the rest of November here just to get them done, just get, used to leaning forward. And then that way I can wait. And then once I get the new setup, hopefully both audio and video will be back to the way they were with the nice tight frame around the mat and you being able to hear me at a normal volume. But let's go ahead and jump into this match one of brand new set of four decks again. We've got two of which are from the Doctor Who sets. We've got the Third Doctor and me, the Immortal. Both are designed to be commander damage, so it's going to be interesting to see how those play off of each other or against each other. They are both built off of the cards I had, and of course that I pulled from the Doctor Who sets. The Doctor himself has actually been play tested. I played it on a stream. Shout out to the Queen of Cardboard. If you're not a fan of her, go check out her Twitch stream. She's really cool and has a lot of cool guests, myself not included, obviously. But um, so it did well. It actually won. So, and that's still based off of just what I had. There's no doubt better cards and creatures that create tokens, and you'll see that as it goes. So I'm sure I can upgrade that to make it a little stronger. The rest of them are untested. Over here we have Krenko Goblin deck. Now I do have some bot cards for this one, but that's because this was actually my Orc Army deck. It wasn't doing what I wanted, so I took the black out, made it mono red, put more goblins in it, and we're gonna see. I haven't tested it at all. I know goblins are notorious easily to build and powerful, but I chose the Tin Street Kingpin as opposed to the other Krenko. Not that it's that much less powerful, but it's not the one that everyone else uses. And then over here, long time coming, is a reformatted Ramos Dragon Engine deck for 5 colors mainly. It is a counters matter deck, built not around per se, but around the enchantment all will be one. So the idea is to put counters constantly on everything and hopefully do a bunch of damage to people through putting the counters on creatures and then having big creatures to swing with as well. All right, I rolled the dice and Krenko is going to go first. So we'll draw, play a mountain for turn, tapping it for Stone of Erich. It's a legendary artifact. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Pay 2 and tap it to sacrifice it, then exile player's graveyard, draw a card. We will then pass turn. This is going to be really weird because, like I said, I have to keep leaning over the table to try and get close to the mic because I'm in an apartment and the walls are really thin, so I can't just, talk super loud to compensate because then people below me will be, banging on the ceiling saying, why are you, shut up. So I have to try and project, but also just lean in. So it's really awkward and weird. But regardless, at least we don't have the fisheye that was really bothering me. But enough about me. How are you guys doing? I hope you're enjoying your day. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. Throw some likes around the channel as you go, and check out my deck techs, my high octane. Check out the unskilled skits. There's a lot of comedy skits that I'm proud of. They're amusing. They're not roll out of your chair laughing so hard, but I think if you're a Magic player, you get a chuckle out of a few of them. But we're gonna go ahead and draw over here, and I will play a Mirrored Landscape comes in tapped. As you can see, we do still see more of the board state this time, so you can see the hands and how weird it is, where it's like when I have real sleeves, I have them like an actual hand just face down, but these penny sleeves are spread out because they stick together, and it's just easier this way for me to try and be a little bit quicker. But we passed, play a forest for turn, and pass turn. Draw, Terramorphic Expanse, and I'm going to crack it for a island. There was one right there. That's very rarely happens. Okay, but we're gonna pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. That's a pretty good draw. We're gonna play a mountain, tapping it for the soul ring I just drew. We're gonna go ahead and tap a red and two others to play Squee Dubious Monarch, a 2/2 with haste. Whenever Squee Dubious Monarch attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token tapped and attacking. You may cast Squee from your graveyard by paying a bunch of stuff and blah blah blah. We'll see if that ever becomes relevant. He does have haste, so we might as well do the thing. We are going to go, you know what, I'm going to go swing at you because I do know that deck is pretty solid. And while that shouldn't be, how you really do attackers, we're just going to do it so that it helps keep the game moving. So, when he attacks, we make a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. So that's going to be a whopping 1, 2, 3 damage to you. First blood. And now the doctor is annoyed. We're going to pass. I know a lot of people it's controversial with the whole universes beyond thing. I was skeptical at first about the Doctor Who set myself, but I got some because I have a friend who's really into Doctor Who, and I thought he'd just like to read the cards and stuff. And I bought some for myself so that if he wanted to learn how to play, we could do that. And I ended up splitting a box of the collectors with my friend Dell, Delicious God, here on YouTube. You can check out his info on the main page of this channel. Go follow him as well. We each have a pack opening episode on our channels, respectively, of opening half of the packs from the deck. I got a lot of good cards, like the Third Doctor and stuff, and they're actually fun. They're fun cards. They're interesting. Just because they have normal people names, I don't think that's really much of a concern. Why people are upset about that? Whatever. It's fun. And I think if you don't like the universes beyond, obviously, oh, well, don't buy them. Yeah, I know, but you know, it can be frustrating if you're gonna, especially when they just announced Marvel, which I'm excited for. I really hope they make a Spider-Man commander that's actually good, that I can make a commander deck around. But I can understand that if you're a die-hard Magic player and you're sitting down against a pot of four, and one of them is Spider-Man, and the other one's, the David Tennant Doctor, and then the other one is somebody from Fallout, that's a little weird, and it can be a little upsetting. I can see how, not upsetting, but it shouldn't be upsetting. But I can see how you might not like it. But remember, it's drawing people into the game, which means there's going to be more money funneled into the game, which means they're going to be making more products. So you might not like that, but that might help create new sets that you really love. So think of it that way. We're going to draw for turn, play an island, can't do anything else, we'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. I will play an island over here, and then tapping two to play Prosperous Innkeeper. When he enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. And he is a 1/1, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under my control, I gain a life. But that's all we can do, we'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. I'll play a swamp, tapping both for the arcane signet I just drew. Now I do have a couple tap lands in my hand, which I would have liked to have played early, but because this is a 5-color deck, I want to try and have as many variations as possible, and having that arcane signet out will really help in the future. We're going to go ahead and pass. And I can see that Goblins is already being a bit of a nuisance, and we're only turn 3. I will play an Evolving Wilds and crack it for a mountain. Thankfully, because that was a Terra or Evolving Wilds, that'll kind of slow down this deck a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and tap 1, 2, 3 to play the commander, Krenko Tin Street Kingpin. So 1/2. Whenever he attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on him. Then create a number of 1/1 red goblins equal to his power. And this is actually also in this deck over here because it's a whole counters thing. But we're going to move to combat. He's got a blocker. Now, we could try and make him sacrifice that, but it's so early game. It's really dumb to just chase after one person for no reason whatsoever. So we're going to spread the love a little bit. We're going to go now to you. We're going to swing at you. It's going to make another goblin. We'll use a red dice because it's red goblins. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how this can start to get away from you pretty quick with decks like this. And this is only turn 3, and I just happened to top deck Squee. So this might be a runaway game. We'll see. But every time I say that, it always ends up being like a 2-hour game. So we'll find out. And pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. I'm going to play a forest, tapping both to crack the mirrored landscape and go get 2 basics that share a type. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 mountains because we need that color. So all we can do, we're going to pass. Hopefully, I'm filming this one episode by itself because, to be frank with you guys, I had a bit of a bad day. Some crappy stuff happened, or it could happen. It's a whole thing. So I was going to edit another episode that I already had that was really long, and I kind of been putting it off. But going into doing something you don't really do when you're in a bad mood just makes it worse. So I was like, you know what? I just got the camera. It arrived today. It's actually working semi-decent. Let me just play a game, test it out, and then I'll start editing the video tomorrow or later tonight and then tomorrow. Plus, this way, I get to learn exactly how the voice is being picked up, if I'm leaning in too far or not enough. I believe when I'm on that side, it picks it up. That must be where the mic is, because I think, plus it's a little closer to the edge of that table, or that edge of the table. So I think it picks it up better when I'm over there. So I might be going like loud, quiet, loud, quiet. So I hopefully not. I apologize if that's what's happening. But this way I can figure that out before I film more episodes with this camera. We're going to untap, upkeep, draw. Going to play an island for turn. Tap all 3 for a Bonder's Ornament. Now, unfortunately, he has a blocker. I would like to hit him back, but I think we're going to just leave it up because I could swing in there, but it's unnecessary because most likely, because I'm trying to be fair, that character is going to swing over this way next turn and swing with a whole bunch of stuff. And then if he taps out, then I can pipe in with my little tiny 1/1. We're going to pass. Now, I could have cracked the treasure last turn and actually cast the commander over there. However, the whole point of that commander is to have as many non-creature tokens as possible, so I want to leave that treasure for as long as possible until I absolutely need to use it. So we untap, upkeep, draw. I will play Rith's Grove. Wait a second, maybe I'm not. I'll play Cinderglade. Comes in tapped unless you control 2 or more basics, which I actually do. I'm going to tap 1, 2, 3 and enchant this island with New Horizons. When it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Unfortunately, I don't have that. But now this land taps for 2 mana of any one color. So that can help speed up some things. We're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Oops, no new lands, which is good. Going to tap Soul Ring. Actually, what we'll do is we'll tap a mountain to play Wayfarer's Bauble. Then we'll tap Soul Ring to crack it and go get a mountain. I'm going to tap my last 2 mint lands to play Goblin Bombardment. Sacrifice a creature, Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to any target. We're then going to move to combat. Now, the thing is, we probably shouldn't swing out because that does leave us empty, but there's literally only 1 creature on the field that can attack us back, and it's 1 damage. I don't think the goblins care at this point. Now, of course, we don't have to swing everything at one person. I think what we're going to do is swing Krenko at you, and then these guys at you, but then 2 triggers. That's going to go up to make a 3rd goblin, and then we are going to put a +1/+1 counter on Krenko, create a number of 1/1s equal to its power. Now these are not tapped and attacking, so they're good blockers. So I just made 2 1/1 goblins over here. You are going to take, let's see, that's over there. That's this one. So you're taking 2 damage from the commander here, and then 1, 2. You're taking 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. I can see why most people don't like goblins, because it's turn 4 and it's pretty gross. We're going to pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. I'm just going to play a Simic Growth Gate, Growth Chamber back to my hand, bouncing a land, bouncing a mountain back to my hand. So next turn we'll be able to get me the Immortal out, but it's definitely way too late based on these things, so we're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Unfortunately, I didn't get a land, which is not great, but we're going to go ahead and tap all 4 to play the third Doctor. He's a 2/2 with trample, and he gets +1/+1 for each non-creature token you control. And then when the third Doctor enters the battlefield, create your choice of a clue, a food, or a treasure token. So I will make another treasure token, which means he is now a 4/4 with trample. And a creature entered the battlefield under my control, so I will gain a life. Now, what's the annoying part about the game, or this particular deck, is I do have things I could cast for 2 mana, but that would weaken the Doctor, and the whole point is to keep him up strong so that I can swing for commander damage. So we're going to hold pattern right now and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. All right, I'm going to tap a swamp for a soul ring. I'm going to play Rith's Grove this time. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return a non-lair land you control to its owner's hand. So I will bounce this swamp back to my hand. And Rith's Grove just taps for one of each of those 3. Well, taps for 1 color out of the 3 that are on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. However, actually, yes. We're going to go ahead and tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to play Ramos, Dragon Engine. A 4/4 flyer. Whenever you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ramos Dragon Engine for each of that spell's colors. So all we can do, we're going to pass. So we'll bump this up to 5, and then we'll keep this off to the side for when we make the next batch. Which is pretty sad that we're saying we're going to make another batch already. 1, 2, 3 for Hordling Outburst. Put 3 1/1 Goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. And then I'm going to tap a red and Soul Ring for Flick a Coin. Deals 1 damage to any target. You create a treasure token and you draw a card. So I'm going to make treasure, draw a card. This is slightly out of order. So it's like I play it, so I'm going to deal 1 damage to that, obviously, because I don't want you gaining life. Then I'm going to make the treasure, then I draw the card. Now we're going to move to combat. We're going to just so I'm going to continue to send him your way because this is just going to keep getting bigger and it's helpful. And I guess actually at this point we kind of have enough creatures that we can send at everybody. So Squee, and hang on, these 3 are summoning sickness. Squee is going to go at you, which, wait a second. You've got a 4/4, so maybe that's not a good idea. And you've got a 4/4. So what I'll do is I'll send these 2 at you, these 5 at you. So obviously you're going to block one of them going down. That's going to take that one down to 4. But then on cast, it's going to make 1. Tapped and attacking. So this would actually go back up. Well, no, because it's going to go at you. And then this is going to go up, and we're going to make another 3. Gross. This is crazy. Like, I was hoping to see more of the other decks. I didn't think the Goblin deck would be that crazy out of the box, as it were. Like I said, I mean, yeah, I know there's good goblins in here because there was good goblins in the Orc deck, but they never came out because it was too diluted, But now putting them all together, wow. I mean, I can see why people don't like it. Or like facing off against goblins. It's like goblins and elves, everyone, you sit down and you're like, oh, here we go. But anyway, that's going to be, oops, wrong way, 3 damage to you there. And then 1, 2, another 3. 1, 2, 3. That's, You, my friend, are not going to be very immortal for very long. So, yes, all right, so that's all we can do there. We're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw for turn. Going to play another forest. Going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to cast Me the Immortal. A 3/3. At the beginning of combat on my turn, put my choice of a +1/+1 first strike, vigilance, or menace counter on Me the Immortal. This is the part that made me want to build the deck, is that counters remain on Me the Immortal as it moves to any zone other than a player's hand or library. You may cast Me from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to its other costs. So moving from the battlefield to the command zone or even the graveyard, doesn't remove the counters like it does for everything else. Now, there's plenty of cards that say bounce it to your hand, and that's going to screw you over. But it's still really cool because now it gets to keep all the stuff that it gets. So obviously this deck is built around. I only had like one or two, but the idea is to put a bunch of like take an extra combat so that that triggers like a couple times per turn. And first one, obviously for me at least, I would go with Menace, and actually I would probably just go with Menace first, and then just dump +1/+1 counters on it. Maybe go Vigilance somewhere in there, like Menace 1/+1 Vigilance, and then just 1/1s all the way. But that is all we can do, so we're gonna pass. All right, I'm gonna play Dream Root Cascade. Comes in tapped unless you have two or more lands, which I do. Going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4 to play the enchantment Vesuvian Diplomacy. Diplomancy, sorry. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature except it's not legendary. So with this deck, the idea is to pump out as many tokens as I can, food, treasure, whatever, and then clone the doctor as many times as I can so that they're all trampley whatevers and start swinging. Now, obviously, they won't all do commander damage, but the point is, hopefully, he gets big, and then you're sending like a 6/6 at everybody because you have 6/6s with trample that just keep getting bigger the more tokens you pump out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make any new tokens right now, and I'm going to have to leave him up to try and block against whatever that's going to come swinging. So we'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Unfortunately, I don't believe I have any kind of targeted destruction or removal to deal with that. We're going to play the swamp again, and we're going to go red, red, 1, 2, 3, for all will be one. The literal, creation point of the deck. Enchantment, whenever you put one or more counters on a permanent or player, all will be one deals that much damage to target opponent, creature, and opponent controls, or planeswalker and opponent controls. Now, the only bad side is that it's not all opponents. Although I assume it would probably be way more damaging if it was. It would probably be, cost more mana to get out or something to compensate for that. But we can target, creatures, I suppose, or a problem player early on. Oh, so first of all, I cast a red spell. So that's going to put, now it's on cast, so all will be one won't see it yet. But that's going to put a +1/+1 counter onto that. We're then going to tap this for 2 green and 1 other to play Rishkar Pima Renegade. It's a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. So first of all, cast trigger. This is going to go up because it's mono green. I put a +1/+1 counter on it. See, unfortunately, it's going. Well, I mean, it will stack, but so 1, 2, 3. So yeah, we'll put 1 damage on that. Then Rishkar enters the battlefield. It's going to put another counter on that, which deals another damage over here, killing it. And then we'll put a counter on Rishkar as the final one, and we will blow up one of these gobos. My preference is to damage the face, go right straight to life total, but there's a lot of goblins on the field, so that's probably a good idea. Maybe I should have killed 3 of the tokens instead of just the thing, but it makes more tokens, so we don't want to keep doing that. But I'm glad it actually got out, and we actually got the main engine of the dragon engine, as it were. So that's cool to see. But we're going to go ahead. Well, wait, he can't attack, and he's a 7/7 in the air. I think we're going to. It's probably dangerous, but we're going to send a 7/7 flyer at you. Try and bring you down to size a bit. But we're going to take a pretty big crackback, which isn't going to be fun. We'll pass turn. Untap, upkeep, consolidate all of these gobos. That's going to be 10 goblins. Now, the nice thing is, if we keep getting this up high, we can sacrifice them to start typing creatures as well. So draw a card for turn. All right, I'm going to tap 2 and play Krenko's Command, create 2 goblin tokens. My goodness, this is insane. I can definitely see how this is going to be yet another deck that I don't get to play very often, like my Atraxa and my Mill, where it's like the second you sit down with them, people immediately kill you first because this is a possibility. Now, with this, I'm not, I mean, this is pretty bad, so I can understand why. But that's sad because I put effort into making the deck and now it's just going to sit on the shelf because anytime you sit down, well, it's goblins. It's like, well, geez. Okay. Try and learn to play your cards right. So we're going to move to combat. So these little goblins can't attack yet, but everybody else can. You've got a 3/3. Oh my gosh, I do need to get some of those little round tokens that you can do for stuff like this. So I forgot. I cast her and then went to combat. So she got a menace token. I just forgot to actually do it. So anyway, it's a 3/3 with menace. I have a 3/4, and it's going to go up as soon as I attack. So yeah, I'm going to swing this at you and all 10 goblins at you. I mean, they're down 28, and it is more commander. So anyway, on cast, this goes up, and then, oh, I did it wrong again last time, but we got it now. We caught it. It's not, I keep thinking it's you put a counter on him and make a goblin. It's you put a counter on him and make goblins equal to his power. His power keeps going up every time. So I'm not making one goblin, I'm making four goblins. So that makes this six. That just came in this turn, which means it's four commander damage. Still not horrible. So one, two, three, four. But we're down to 24 life. That's not good. And then these 10, you're going to block with your 3/3, so one of them goes away, but you're taking 9 damage. But unfortunately, here comes the bad part. You know what? We're gonna do it. It's gross and it's stupid, but we're gonna do it because no one else is a threat yet. Everyone else has one or two creatures. So we don't have any real fear of repercussions at this point. So I'm gonna tap two to play Mob Justice. Mob Justice deals one damage to target player for each creature you control. I have 16 goblins. You're gonna take 16 to the face. Down to 10. I'm then going to go ahead and sacrifice 10 goblin tokens to Goblin Bombardment to deal 10 damage to you. Boom. Kaboosh. Look at that. How insane is that? One, two, three, four, like what? Turn five? I did not expect it to go that crazy that fast. I mean, obviously we'll have to see what the next two matches do. He could stall out, he could whatever, but most likely it's going to be somewhat similar to this. Now that obviously getting Squee the Immortal out really early was really helpful and stuff like that. But also, I'm at 33 life, you're at 38. I'm tempted to just blast these other goblins and deal 5 damage to you. Or I could deal 5 damage to your commander, which is probably the smart thing, is to kill commanders. But when have we ever been smart on the Unskilled Commander? We're going to go ahead and be giddily destructive and deal 5 damage to you. Now we are wide open, of course. We could play something else. So we will. I'm going to sacrifice the treasure and tap Soul Ring for Spike Shot Goblin. Now, obviously, I messed up. I should have done that before. I wasn't thinking about the mana base. Again, whenever something really cool happens, I start to get excited and stop looking at my hand and be like, I'm going to do this cool thing. And then end up realizing I should have played more or differently. But that would have really just given me an extra 2 damage, I think, basically, because if that was on the field, it would have done 17 to him. I wouldn't have needed to sacrifice. I would have sacrificed a less to kill him, blah, blah. Whatever. It could have done 2 more to him. That's not that big a deal. It is, but it isn't. But that was super fun and crazy, so we're going to pass. So do any of you out there have goblin decks? Are they always this? I know goblins is bad, just like elf ball, whatever, but I've never really seen it go fast. I've seen goblin decks go blah, but I don't know. It just feels, I guess because it's me, so it feels like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You're probably like, dude, that means you didn't make it like an idiot, so you made a goblin deck semi-competently. Like, okay, you don't have to be mean about it. But untap, upkeep, draw. Apparently, I should have discarded down. I wasn't counting cards, so I'm going to discard that. But anyway, draw a card. I'm going to play Rockfall Vale comes in tap unless you control 2 other lands. I do. We'll tap this forest for a Soul Ring. Oops. We're going to tap Simic Growth Chamber to play Simic Ascendancy. And a really good card for this deck. And I think it should also be in that deck. If it's not, I'm going to have to get a copy and put it in there. But anyway, it's enchantment. Pay green, blue, and 1 other. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever 1 or more counters are put on a creature, put that many on Simic Ascendancy. When it has 20 counters on it, you win the game. Fortunately, I don't have the right colors to do both, but we're going to tap a blue and Soul Ring to play Stealth Mission. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. It can't be blocked this turn. One of the downsides to this deck, and this one slightly less than this one, is I don't have as many creatures in them. So as you can see, I don't have any blockers. So if I do swing out with this to do some damage over there, the crackback could be big, but he has to build back up again. So we have a little bit of a leeway with that. You know what? I'm going to tap a green and 1 other to play Silk Guard for 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to X target creatures, which is 1. And auras, equipments, and modified creatures gain hexproof until end of turn. Now it's an instant. You should wait till someone goes to target it, but whatever. Now we move to combat. Trigger her ability. She already has menace. You know what? That's a good point. Under the circumstances, since we just added a bunch of counters, let's put vigilance on there instead. So now she doesn't tap, and she won't make us completely open. But I've been missing some triggers, haven't I? I don't remember the order I played them in because I'm the Unskilled. So we're going to assume I just missed 1. I think I missed like 2 or 3, but right, because I definitely Silk Guard is obvious. That's fine. But I think what I did is I tapped. No, I didn't I? Hang on. I tapped Forest for Soul Ring, tapped Simic Growth Chamber for that, then tapped these 2 to play that. So this actually is up to 3. Awesome, awesome. Okay. That's really cool. I caught that well enough. All right. So we've got ourselves a 6/6 with Menace and Vigilance. We are swinging at you. You can't block. You're taking 6 Commander. All right. Not bad. That's what it's supposed to do, but it is. I am still a little weak in the creature department over here. We'll have to see how the remaining matches go and if that's something I need to address. We're going to pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. All right, I'm going to go ahead and tap 4 and play Spark Double. Now, I think this is going to work. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But I'm bringing Spark Double enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature. Enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional 1/+1 counter on it. And if it's legendary, it's not legendary. So we're going to target the 3rd Doctor. But it doesn't say target, it just says it enters as a copy of. So when you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact, I don't know if that wording really needs to be exact or not. So I would like to think that the Duplicity, makes a copy of the Doctor, and Spark Double is a copy of the Doctor. So I think I should have 3. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Because I can see how I could be wrong because the spell doesn't say it's targeting a single, like, make a copy of target creature. It doesn't say that. It just says it enters the battlefield as a copy of a creature. But it still has to target it to do it because if something had hexproof or shroud or something and I said, I'm going to make a copy of your commander, it's like, no, my commander, has hexproof. You can't target it to make a copy of it. But then again, because it doesn't say target, I don't know. Like when something's indestructible, or if something's hexproof, a board wipe will still kill it because it's not targeting it. But that says destroy all creatures. It doesn't say anything about copying a specific one. So I think it's still right. But anyway, now I'm going to put these counters the way because it's not quite the way this works. They're not counters. It's just getting a buff from having tokens on the field, but just for visual purposes to make it easier on me, it's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be a 5/5, and this one is going to be a 4/4. Now that is a 1/2, so we are absolutely going to go to combat and swing the good doctor at you. Now it is more commander damage, but this is like oh, he does have trample though, but only 2 will get through. So I'm going to throw that under the bus just to block, and 1, 2 gets through. So all we can do right now. We're going to pass turn, untap, upkeep, draw. We're going to play Necro Blossom Snarl, but I don't have any lands in my hand, so it will come in tapped. Going to tap for green and white, and then 3 others. Actually, we'll do this to play Juniper Order Ranger. Now, on cast, Ramos is going to get 2 counters, up to 5. All will be 1. We'll deal 2 damage to... unfortunately, I don't have more things to cast to make more counters. So we're going to just deal 2 damage to your face. Right into the face. I gotta watch because now my hands, because I'm so close to the table, my hands are actually getting on camera more. So it's like, and it's right up in the camera's lens there. I have 3 mana left. That's not enough to cast anything else, unfortunately. Sorry, Juniper Order Rangers is a 2/4. It says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and Juniper Order Ranger. So if I play something else next turn, it's going to help build up a lot of stuff. Guys, we can actually do this. We're going to go ahead and remove 5 counters from Ramos for his second ability, which I didn't say before. I apologize. Remove 5 +1/+1 counters from him and add double Wooper. 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green. To your mana pool, activate this only once each turn. That means I now have 10 mana, 2 of each color. I'm going to use 5 of it, 2 white, to cast Sunscorch Regent. So we'll say, just for simplicity's sake, 2 white and then 2 blue and a red. Now we're casting a white spell, or we're casting a spell with 1 color, so Ramos gets a counter. Going to pipe you for 1. When it enters, when another creature enters, it's going to get a +1/+1 counter from Juniper, and Juniper will also get a +1/+1 counter. So that's 2 more counters. Well, I shouldn't do that. It's 2 more counters, so you're taking another 2 damage. I didn't realize I could do I know I said earlier, oh, I can't get rid of the commander because I didn't realize um, I had that much. I didn't realize I had the mana ready for that. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Sunscorcher Regent and you gain a life. Then I will use the last 5 mana, one of it being green, obviously, to cast Tender Shoot Dryad. So that's going to put, so let's see what that's going to be. 1, 2, 3. Fortunately, not enough. I should have, but whatever. It's going to get 1 for that. You take a damage. It's going to come in with a +1/+1 counter, and Juniper is going to go up by 1. You're going to take another 2. Tender Shoot Dryad says, at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Saprolings get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing, which is you have to have 10 or more permanents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. So they're going to be 3/3 Saprolings. Oh, and Juniper says whenever a creature enters the battlefield, not cast. You know what? He's dead, isn't he? I just did all of that and he's dead. Why didn't you guys tell me? Okay, well, that's me being stupid. But that was cool though, right? That would be cool if he was the unalived and, could actually fight back. Okay, well, whatever. That was a waste. But I might leave that in because it's kind of funny. All right, so we're over here, untapping, upkeep, draw. Gonna tap a red for Goblin Arsonist. It's a 1/1. Whenever it dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Then I'll tap 1 and Soul Ring to play Goblin Matron. So 1/1 whenever it enters the battlefield, search your library for a Goblin card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. We'll do Hobgoblin Bandit Lord. It's going to go into my hand. I don't have enough mana to cast it, unfortunately. There's probably better cards in the deck, but like I only have 2 mana, and I don't. This is now the only card in my hand. All right, you are gone. Gotta stop it looking over in that direction. I don't know. See, once again, I said Goblins was gonna run away with the victory. Now everyone, because it became arch enemy, Goblins don't really stand a chance at this point. And that was because I sacrificed all of the Goblins to take out him and deal damage, and that's on me. I should have just took him out and left like 6 or 7 blockers, because then I'd be able to at least come back from that. But it's fine. I wanted to go out crazy, and that was fun. And that's kind of on flavor for Goblins too. So we're gonna go to combat, but unfortunately, there's not really any place to go at. So we can't even get. It's like it would be a one shot, but we can recast the commander. So yeah, I guess we're gonna do that. We're gonna go ahead and send him at. It doesn't even matter because everyone can block and kill it. So we're gonna send it at you. No, we'll send it over here. Whatever. He is going to go up, so it's 4, 5, and it's going to make 5 goblins, which is the important part because we need those guys to block. So it is now a 5/6. You are a 6/6. You're going to block it, kill it. Kill it with Goblin Fire. Now it costs 2 more to cast, which we should have enough for, so not overly. Oh, let's see. This got exiled. Yeah, anything over here? Yeah, this got exiled. I've been kind of ignoring the Stone of Erich, whatever it is. But it's important. Whenever a creature an opponent control dies, exile instead, because that's good against graveyard decks. But that is all we can do. We'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a swamp or an island for turn. 1, 2, 3 to play aggravated assault. It's an enchantment. Pay 3 and 2 red. Untap all creatures you control. If it's a main phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Activate only as a sorcery. So as you can see, like I said, that's a good card for this because it would give us an extra combat. I don't have the mana colors necessary to do it, unfortunately, which is why I should have played the mountain in my hand and not the island. So there you go. Stupidity abounds, but whatever. We're going to move to combat. She's going to get a counter, which means that gets counter. And we're going to swing again at you for 7 damage with Menace, but you can block it. So you'll block it with this thing and one of these tokens. When this dies, it deals 1 damage to any target, so we'll just pipe you for that. I mean, it's something. We're going to pass. Alright, untap, upkeep, draw. Mirrored Landscape comes in tap, not super helpful. We're going to tap 2 to play Welcome to Sweet Tooth, Enchantment Saga. Create a 1/1 human creature token. And then that's this first stage, and then next time we get to make a food token, which will actually benefit us. Going to tap 3 to play Dungeoneer's Pack. Enters the battlefield tapped, but it says pay 2 and tap it, you sacrifice it, you take the initiative, you gain 3 life, you draw a card, you create a treasure token, and you can only activate as a sorcerer. So that's a lot of value for just a 3-drop and then 2 on the next turn. Again, it's mainly in there. I'd have to look up how to do the initiative. I don't remember. Obviously, you can't not do it in a real game. You'd have to do it. I just don't remember how. It's there because it makes you a treasure and does a bunch of other cool stuff like gain you life. Now the problem is that because that's getting big and it's going to keep getting big, whereas we're slowing down. Even though we have 3 of them, they're only 4 4s and a 5/5. And we don't really want to swing out over there. Well, they do have trample, though, so that's nice. We will go ahead and send one of them. Well, we will have two, but I don't want to get rid of the commander. We'll send. Wait, how much blocking does he have? Yeah, he could kill the commander. So we're going to go ahead and send. Meh. We'll just send one. We'll send the 5/5 at you with trample. I will put two goblins in front of it, dropping this number down to 2. And we'll take 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. Because that way I still have enough for the menace over here. But that's all we can do. We're going to go ahead and pass turn. Not you. Untap. Upkeep, draw. Tap 3 for the Hobgoblin Bandit Lord I spoke of. Other goblins get +1/+1. That's important. Pay a red and tap him. He deals damage equal to the number of goblins that enter the battlefield under your control this turn to any target. Then I will tap 1 for Exuberant Fuseling, a Phyrexian Goblin Warrior, 0/1 with Trample. Exuberant Fusion gets +1/+0 for each oil counter on it when it enters the battlefield, and whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on it. Here, we'll put this as an oil counter. So it is now a 1/2 with Trample. Super scary. I'm going to go ahead and tap Soul Ring to get rid of that and draw a card. Yeah, that's something for next turn. I don't really think swinging out is a good idea right now. So we're going to go ahead and pass turn. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play that mountain I should have played. Then we're going to tap the mountains. Just kidding. I'm going to tap a Soul Ring and an island to put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains vigilance, which it already has, until end of turn. So that's going to go up to 6. This is going to go up to 6. We're then going to move to combat. That's going to go up to 7, and that's going to go up to 7. We're going to go ahead and swing at you, but you have, like, what kind of, okay, so it's a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Definitely couldn't kill it even if you stack block. So we'll go ahead. Doesn't have trample, so we'll just use these two to counteract the menace. And then go to second main phase. Second main phase, we're going to pay 2 red and 3 more to activate Aggravated Assault. There is now an additional combat phase and an additional main phase after that. So, moving to combat, the beginning of combat, these numbers go up. We will then swing again at you. Let's lock with these two because they've both done their job. And that's all we can do. We're going to pass turn. Untap over here. Upkeep. Oops, well, hang on. Untap, upkeep. Upkeep trigger. Oh no, this is after your draw step. Okay, so upkeep, draw. And then this goes to phase 2 where it makes a food token. Thankfully, because now they're all a little bit bigger. That will be very beneficial. We are going to play the Shire. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. We do. And you tap it for green, or you can pay a green and one other and tap it to tap an untapped creature you control and make a food token. So, oops, these are untapped, by the way. So I'm going to tap a green and tap it and tap. Tap it, tap it, tap. That's all we're saying. The soldier that we made, their white human creature rather, to make another food token. I'm going to pay 2 and sack Mirrored Landscape to get 2 greens on the field here. I know it doesn't seem like it matters, but it's hopefully deck thinning, and plus it lets me shuffle. So I can hopefully get some more cards that say create tokens of some sort. And then finally, I'm going to tap 2 and sacrifice Dungeoneer's Pack to gain 3 life. 1, 2, 3. Draw a card. And it's a land. And then create a treasure token. All right, so we'll just do that. We have 3 of those, and okay. So what the initiative is it just forces you into the Undercity dungeon, and if someone attacks you, they get the initiative. Like if they deal combat damage to you, they get the initiative. So it is an upkeep trigger. So when it happens, the first room is you get a basic out of your library and put it in your hand. Oops. Oh, there we go. We'll just put that island into my hand and shuffle. And then every upkeep you venture further into the other city. So I do have that token somewhere, and it, might not be that bad, so I will put it in the deck at some point with these tokens. So anyway, we've got ourselves 1, 2, and 5. So 7. Nope, he got the +1. So 8, 7, and he's a 7, 7. Now we're cooking with some Doctor Who gas. That's getting big. And it has menace. So whatever we send, if we send anything that way, it's going to block and kill it. If we send everything that way, 8 and 7, 15, we could kill them. But then we would become the obvious target. Although even if we only send one thing at the goblins, they could totally be like, I see what you're doing, and start coming at me anyway. Although that would be foolish, because we know goblins can go off, and if left alone, they might be able to restock their battlefield, as it were. I say we send the 8/8 at you with trample. It doesn't really matter at this point. I don't think, I mean, everyone's dogpiling on them, so I don't know. I just don't, because if I send everything over here, which is what I kind of want to do, the doctor will die, and then we'll have to recast it. Though we do have enough, and these are token copies, so they don't rely on him being there. Yeah, I think at this point you got to kind of start trying to play to win. Now we will be completely open now, but I say go for it. And that's what we said over there, and that's why, the goblins got already taken out. So we're swinging everything at you with trample. Obviously, you're going to block the doctor. He is a 7/7, you're a 11/11. So the doctor's going to die and require 2 more to cast next turn. But you will take 15 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, that's kind of big. All right, we're going to go ahead and... Oh, that is true. Darn it. Well, it is whatever. We're going to pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. Play a mountain. Nope, I'm not going to play a mountain because I need a card to discard. We're going to tap 3 to play Quarrel's End, discarding the mountain as additional cost to play the spell. Draw 2 cards and create a 1/1 white human creature token. We'll tap 2 to play Battle Cry Goblin. It's a 2/2 that can pay a red and one other goblins you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. Whenever it attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater, create a goblin token that's tapped and attacking. You know what? We're gonna, well, no. We're gonna go ahead and just pass turn at this point. Because he's like, hey, yeah, you guys duke it out. I'm cool. Untap, upkeep, draw. Tanglepool Bridge comes in tapped, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I have a fog spell in my hand. I have got to remember that next time the doctor swings at me. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to combat. This goes up by 1, this goes up by 1. We're going to swing. Yeah, we're going to swing at you. And what is it? 9, 10, 11, 12. That's commander damage, by the way, so they might be able to win next turn if we don't play properly. Then we're going to pay 2 and 3 others to activate Aggravated Assault. There's now an additional combat phase, and there's no future for you because yeah, we're gonna go to combat. That's gonna go up to 10. That's gonna go up to 10. We're gonna swing at you again for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. That's 25, commander. Kaboosh, you are dead, I'm afraid. You got greedy, Doctor. I'm pleased with me, the Immortal, but let's be honest. No one has played any removal yet, and I know I don't run a ton of answers removal, but each of these decks should have a couple. So there's no way me, the Immortal, would have lasted this long. It would have been needed to be recast a couple times. Even though it keeps the counters, which is great, it still would be off the table. And there's no other creatures. I haven't played anything else. So that's definitely a weakness I have to address in the future. That's all we can do over here, though. We're going to go ahead and pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. It's a mirrored landscape, comes in tapped. Not great at this point in the game. We can tap 3 and 2 others to recast Krenko. See, okay, that's a. Normally, Mirrored Landscape is a great card to have, but because it comes in tapped right now, I could have activated Battle Cry, which would have given them haste, so Krenko could have attacked. But then again, she would just block, so it would just kill Krenko, so it's not super viable in a one-on-one strategy like this. Now, the point is, we do have Goblin Bombardment. That's the key. If we can, and we can do this at instant speed. So, what we can do next turn is when she attacks in, we block with 2 creatures, and then say, in response to blockers being declared, I sacrifice them both to Bombardment, hit you for 2 in the face, and we don't get damaged. But we need 4 more goblins out in order to win. But that's all we can do, so we'll pass. Untap, upkeep, draw. So this is interesting. I have Last Night Together. Choose 2 target creatures, untap them, put 2 counters on each of them. They gain Vigilance, Indestructible, and Haste until end of turn. After this main phase, there is an additional combat phase. Only the chosen creatures can attack during this combat phase. So that's awesome. But it doesn't say up to 2 target creatures. It says choose 2. So that means I kind of have to choose another one. Which means I would have to choose something his. Not that that's a huge deal, I guess, but it's still not optimal. All right, so we're going to tap red, green, 1, 2, 3 to play Last Night Together. This is going to get 2 counters up to 12, and so does this. And I guess we're going to give, well, we don't want to do it to that. We'll give your little human 2 counters. So now you have a 3/3 human. They gain Indestructible, Vigilance, and Haste until end of turn. After this main phase, there's an additional combat phase. So, okay, so we're going to go to combat. So this is going to get 1. This is going to get 1. We're going to swing at you. It doesn't have trample, but it does have menace, so you still have to block with 2 things. I guess we'll block with this and that. She can assign all the damage to that, so it dies. Well, whatever. Assign 3 damage to that and the rest to that. But they're both indestructible, so it doesn't matter. Then there is an additional main phase with an additional combat phase. And so this is the only thing that can attack. So it's additional combat. This goes up, this goes up. It has to attack. And now again, you have to block with something else. I mean, I guess this one now, the same thing, that's indestructible, it's still end of turn. So no matter how many times I keep swinging in, it's going to keep blocking it. But we're then going to move to our second main phase, tapping 2 red and then 1, 2, 3 to activate Aggravated Assault. We got a new combat step. These go up. We swing 1 more time. You have to block with both if you want to survive. This stays, though, because it's indestructible till end of turn. And then another main phase. We don't have any open mana except for colorless. We're going to pass. Now, I did say the thing about sacrificing them, so I guess we would have done that. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, oops. Yeah. Because each of those combats, we would have done that. So then untap, upkeep, draw, mountain for turn. I mean, we can recast it. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So there we go. We recast it. We have 1 open mana. We've got a 3/3 and a 1/2, but that's pretty much game because we pass turn, untap, upkeep, draw. We tap 2 blue to play Contentious Plan, draw a card, and proliferate. And this is fun. We're going to tap 2 red to play one of the other creatures in the deck finally, Ketis, Emberclaw Familiar. So 1/1. Commanders you have deal combat damage to a player. It deals that much damage to each opponent, which doesn't matter in this stage of the game, but otherwise it would be cool. Then we're going to go ahead and swing. Move to combat. This goes up. This goes up. You have to block both. Or with both, rather. You have to block with both. And then we, of course, pay. Another combat. This goes up. This goes up. So it's literally 21 commander damage. And you already had some. So there you go. Kaboom. Me, the Immortal, is the winner. Again, there's clearly a lot of weakness in the deck just because while it did what it was supposed to do, and like I said, as this keeps moving back and forth between the command zone and maybe even the graveyard, it keeps all of this. It keeps menace, it keeps vigilance, and it keeps all those counters, which is great. But people are just going to keep exiling it or blowing it up, or worse, if they can bounce it to your hand, then it does lose all that stuff. Which is, most people don't do too much, but there's a fair amount of bounce to your hand in removal, I think, across the board. Most people are focused on exiling it because they don't want you to get that creature back, even if it's a commander, it just goes to command zone. But if you've got an Eldrazi out or an Avacyn that's indestructible, it's all about exiling. So people tend to focus on exiling or board wipes that, blanket everything. But I'm still pleased with what it did. I'm pleased with how this reacted. Actually, they all did pretty well. It's just the goblins went crazy off the bat and became arch enemy, which is kind of sad. But unfortunately, that's kind of how it really would be in the real world. But what do you think? What do you think of the decks? How would you build them any differently? I hope the audio hasn't been too bad. Like I said, I'll review this video and see from there what we do. Maybe we'll end up going back to the fisheye just so I have better audio. I don't know. But we'll see. Because leaning over is a little annoying. But that's it. I will see you next time.